in the summer heat of 1944. When exhausted, Japanese prisoners were marched into the American camp. Every step felt like an approach toward humiliation or death, because for years they had been taught through sermons, schools, and barracks ideology that Americans would torture them, starve them, force them to reject everything sacred, including their gods. Yet when the gates clanged shut behind them, instead of cruelty, they found order, clean water, and guards who looked more curious than hateful. And on the first morning, when a group of older prisoners quietly knelt in the dust to perform their Shinto rites, shoulders trembling, expecting boots and rifle butts to strike them down, an American sergeant simply paused, chewing gum, then stepped back respectfully and told the other guards, "Let 'em finish," a gesture so small that it shattered years of propaganda, the prisoners bowing deeper, not out of fear, but stunned relief, as they whispered, "We can actually pray?" And from that moment, the camp changed. Men who had expected torture found open fields where they could pray at sunrise. Guards who asked simple questions like, "How long does it take?" and "Is it okay if we stand here?" A chaplain who brought them space, shade, and even paper for recording prayers. And suddenly, men who had once sworn to die rather than be captured began to breathe freely, laugh softly, share stories, plant vegetables, and perform their rituals in peace. The Americans watching with a distant respect that felt unfamiliar yet profoundly human, until the prisoners realized that the enemy they feared most had given them something Japan's militarists never had: freedom of conscience, and that this dignity was more disarming than any weapon, a quiet kindness that rewrote everything they had believed about the world. 2. German women POWs realized America was nothing like Goebbels' propaganda films. When the war ended, and columns of young German women radio operators, typists, nurses, clerks barely in their 20s were loaded onto American trucks, their hands shaking around ration tins and rosaries, they expected a nightmare born from Goebbels' warnings: leering soldiers, cages, starvation, degradation, a world where every American was a brute thirsting for revenge. Yet, as they passed through the gates of the POW camp, the first thing they noticed was not hatred, but astonishing normalcy. Whitewashed barracks, vegetable gardens, laundry lines flapping in the breeze, a canteen where American women served food with tired but gentle smiles, and guards who spoke softly, almost embarrassed at the sight of their fear. And when mealtime came, the transformation deepened, for instead of moldy crusts or watery soup, they received steaming trays of chicken, potatoes, bread so fresh its warmth stung their fingertips, slices of pie placed like something from a dream, and as they ate in silent disbelief, stealing glances at the guards, trying to reconcile this abundance with the propaganda films showing America as a wasteland of criminals and barbarians, the cracks widened further when American nurses stitched their wounds, when GIs helped them with heavy buckets, when locals waved from porches, when a schoolteacher offered books and English lessons, when children handed them flowers through the fence, and slowly, painfully, they understood that the true cruelty had not been outside the camp, but inside the Reich, inside the films, inside the lies that taught them the world hated them. And now, under the warm American sun, with full stomachs and clean beds, they realized that dignity, not brutality, defined their captors. And in that quiet revelation, every frame of Goebbels' propaganda dissolved like smoke. 3. German generals' first meal in America. Shattered Goebbels' propaganda. When the transport ship finally anchored in New York Harbor and the defeated German generals, men who had commanded corps, divisions, entire armies descended the gangway, expecting humiliation, fury, or starvation. The Americans surprised them with nothing but brisk instructions, clean facilities, and a train ride into the heart of a land they had been told was chaotic and degenerate. And when they arrived at the POW reception center, dust still on their boots, pride still clinging to their posture, they were marched into the mess hall for their first American meal, a moment that would shatter years of propaganda more brutally than any battlefield defeat, because instead of rotten bread or watery soup, they found long tables lined with trays of roasted beef, buttered potatoes, thick slices of white bread, steaming vegetables, fresh milk, hot coffee, and most shocking of all, second helpings offered without hesitation, served by young American soldiers who treated them not like monsters, but like tired, aging men whose war had already cost them everything. And as the generals ate, forks trembling between their fingers, they exchanged bewildered looks, each silently remembering the speeches that had painted America as a land of decay, corruption, filth, starvation, racial chaos, lies swallowed for years, without question, now collapsing, as they tasted food richer than anything rationed in the Reich for half a decade, realizing that the nation they had fought to destroy was healthy, strong, wealthy, confident, and astonishingly self-assured. So self-assured that it had no need to degrade its enemies, no need to starve them. And as the meal ended and guards cleared their plates with casual courtesy, the truth settled over the generals like a final, irrefutable verdict. Goebbels had lied not only about America's character, but about its strength, its abundance, and its spirit. And in that single meal, quiet, simple, and devastating, the entire mythology of Nazi superiority crumbled.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.